Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back, listeners, to Psychic Bent. And today we're going to discuss spirit guides. So this is a kind of an exciting topic for us. We're always discussing spirit guides as we communicate with each other. Kim and I do, and Julie. And we like to just kind of have an episode that's geared towards the different type of spirit guides, what they are, what they do, and go from there. So spirit guides are accompany us throughout our time on earth. Your spirit guide will be with you your entire life, and they have accompanied you in the past, present, and future incarnations. So they are basically with you all the time. Now, you can have more than one spirit guide, but you will always have your main one. But you can attract more spirit guides as you're developing and going through different scenarios in your life.
Their purpose is, like you said, to help us navigate the challenges and opportunities that rise during our journey throughout our life. Others can join your team at any time, and with your free will, you can request more spirit guides if you need them. Now, they are definitely a positive source for offering you guidance and support and help. To be able to call upon this spirit team or the spirit guides to help you through your situations is very important, because they can't help you if you don't ask. They have to be asked, because the free will that we all have prevents them from just helping you on something that you need.
So I think in a previous episode, we had talked about how I felt like my spirit guides were sitting on a couch, just bored, looking at the watches, going, when is she going to ask? When is she going to do? When do we get involved? When can we do this? So
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Mine get bored on occasion, I think. Or they get like, what is she doing now?
Yeah.
They can appear to you in different forms, different ways. Like a lot of times, if you're in America and you're communicating with your spirit guide, a lot of times they come across as Native American. Sometimes they don't come across of any gender. They're going to come across in a way that's not going to alarm you or frighten you, because they're there lovingly to help you and guide you. So like we spoke of on the episode with Julie, she has a very sarcastic spirit guide, but that goes with her humor and how she communicates. So it works out great. So,
right.
So your spirit guide's going to communicate with you in a method, in a way that is comforting and gets the most bang for its buck, so to speak. So they know how to talk to you, that you should listen. I mean, we all have had, I'm sure you have, Kim, I've had a lot of times where you're being told to do one thing, you're like, nah, I don't want to do that. I want to do this other thing. And then you're like down the road going, dang it, should have done the other thing. I should have listened.
More than half my life, that's been it.
but you have life lessons, and sometimes those are the ones you have to learn and go with. I think we all have that stubborn streak where it's like, you know what? No, I want to do this. I don't want to hear no. I did that a lot in my early development. I don't do it as much anymore because it's sometimes painful when I don't listen. So. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I don't.
So let's start with archangels. And of course, that was our topic of the last series, wasn't it, Kim?
Yes, it was.
we had a lot of fun with that one. I don't know if we should have had much fun, but we had some fun with that one.
Yeah.
Archangels are the leaders of the angel world and have a powerful, very large energy signature. If you're an empath or a sensitive to energy, when you call on an archangel, you might feel an energy shift in the room. Each archangel has a specialty, like we went over in the previous episode, like Archangel Raphael, specialty of healing, and can work with countless humans at once.
Great. That's exactly what they do.
You don't have anything to add?
That's exactly what I had.
Okay.
That's exactly what I had.
Well, then why don't you do guardian angels then?
Okay. So the next we have is guardian angels. We each have more than one guardian angel. They have devoted their lives to helping each one of us. they will not interfere with your free will. Call upon them anytime for any immediate assistance. They are non-denominational, and they work with people of all faiths and spiritual beliefs, and they love us unconditionally and forever. They're just there to help us and guide us and help us to learn our lessons.
And I want to just throw in here on this, popped into my head. If you're hearing a voice that is not loving, then that is not an angel or guardian or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's not your spirit guide. They may be sarcastic and may have funny, but they're not going to say things to you that are not loving. So that could either be your ego talking to you, or you may need to meditate and raise your vibration because you could have a lower level entity trying to communicate with you.
Right.
Yeah,
Lower vibrational one, yeah.
Right, right. So if you feel that you're getting some negativity being said to you, I would recommend just stopping what you're doing, meditate, raise your vibration, and ask an angel to step in to kind of clear away any negativity that is surrounding you. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Good points. Very good points.
All right, so our next one is spirit animals. Spirit animals might be a pet you once had and has passed away and is now part of your spiritual guidance team. Spirit animals can also be any animal that has something to teach you, like the peacock teaching you the importance of beauty and confidently owning your gifts, or a wolf showing you the importance of getting your survival needs met. Spirit animals could show up for the first time in a dream, in your backyard, or in a coworker's coffee mug. The thing about spirit animals is that, for me, I live on the top of a ridge in the mountains. I have animals all the time in my yard. So every time I see a raccoon, I don't go automatically to, oh, that's a spirit guide. He's foraging for food. He's not doing anything unusual. But for the last week, I'll be driving down the mountain and down this particular road, and there's a deer that just stands there and watches me go by, which is unusual behavior for a deer.
Right.
And he's done it more than once. I don't know. Well, it's a she. I don't know if it's the same deer doing it, but it's happened on more than one occasion. So that deer is trying to tell me something.
Mm-hmm.
So with spirit animals, when you're working with spirit animals, you look for them doing unusual behavior.
Right. Exactly.
And I'm sure, Kim, you would like to tell your owl story.
Yeah, that is exactly where I was going. I mean,
I know, I could hear it.
Okay, so we live out on a farm, and during the day one day, because this went on for about a week, I went to the sliding glass doors that lead out to the backyard and didn't even open the doors. I just looked, and on the gate closest to the house, I see an owl. And I thought, oh, I'm going to take pictures of that. And I started taking pictures of it because he was so big and beautiful. And when I went back and looked at the pictures, he turned and he was looking at me, looking straight at me in every single picture. And I'm like, oh, that's okay. What is it wanting, And then it flew off. But then the next day, I believe it was the next day, it was sitting out on our fence by one of the barns, and there was also a hawk there on the same type of fencing looking at us. And the hawk kept going after the owl, and then a crow showed up, and the crow was creating chaos in the sky. I mean, it was just like, what is happening here?
Well, crows are tattletales. I'm sorry. You step outside, they start telling everybody your business. She's out, she's out, she's out.
But I was inside when all this was happening.
Yes,
I'm in the house. So it was that owl. The hawk ended up flying away. The crow took off. And then that owl was there for a good 8 hours that day. And it was the weirdest behavior. It ended up getting onto the ground, and I went out to make certain it was okay, because sometimes animals get injured and they've been hit by a car or something and you need to get them help. But no, this owl was definitely doing some unusual stuff. Yep. So
Wait,
it had some messages for us.
He even did a flyby.
He did do a flyby, almost took me out.
Like very close flyby. So
Very
those,
close.
yeah. So, those are examples of that's what you look for. Is this a spirit animal? Now, if any animal shows up in your dreams, you need to take note of it. What is it doing? How's it behaving? And, we're going to go in a lot more detail in the next episode, but I had a cat, and cats are my spirit animals. I think when you can't have children, you have cats. Or a dog or a feathered friend, but I've always had a cat. Always had a cat. This particular cat, I was fishing on the Quella boundary in North Carolina, and in the middle of nowhere, and this skinny, battered up gray cat walks past. I was fishing with my father, and he walked past my father, walked up to me, sat down, looked me in the eye, and went meow, and that was it. Like, okay, you poor baby. And I had him for a long time. And then he was with me when I went through a lot of traumatic things in my life, that stage. And so I feel he was definitely sent to me. He had diabetes later on in life, and eventually I had to put him down. But I would see him throughout my apartment all the time after I put him down.
Right, right.
I'd feel something jump up on the bed, and the other cat's already curled up with me. And I'm like, who's that? So he continued on with me for a while as a spirit guide.
Right. Well, that's how they show up, to offer protection, support, help us overcome fears.
Yes.
Just
or comfort.
They're there to help us.
Or just
right,
give you comfort. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I kept seeing him. So he was showing himself to me.
So the next set of spirit guides are the ascended masters. Now, they are spiritual beings who have lived earthly lives, or they lived on the earth before, and they mastered their paths of spiritual transformation to ascend. Now, they have a special place as leaders in the spirit world and as guides and teachers to humans, to people like us. All the ascended masters are partners and work together in harmony, no matter what culture or religion they were a part of when they were alive. They understand the emotional and physical challenges that we have and can offer so much more powerful guidance to help us learn our lessons and more vibrantly thrive in our lives. Now, some of these, I'm going to give you a list of some of the very well-known ascended masters that you all may recognize. Well, there's, of course, Mother Mary. There's Yeshua, or Jesus. There's Maitreya. There's Chong Yin. And there's Babuji, Merlin, Saint Germain, Sanat Kumar, and Melchizedek, and so many more. Buddha. And yeah, there's another one.
Yeah.
But they're there to help us with their wisdom and all of their lessons that they learned, because they ascended to master everything.
As you mentioned earlier in the podcast, they're waiting for you to call on them. And how many people actually think that I could call on Buddha to help me in this particular situation, or Mother Mary, or Merlin?
Right.
So that's, I think, a very important part of your psychic development, is knowing that you have many, many, many guides that you can call on. And again, like we talked about with the Angel series, if you don't know what guide you need, you can just give the generic. You know who you are. I need you to come forward. Help me out with this.
Right.
The next one is departed loved ones. Now, loved ones or family members who've passed on may choose to be one of your spirit guides and actively support you from heaven by helping you in particular ways, like sending career opportunities or nurturing relationships your way. One of your grandmothers could be an important spirit guide for you, whether you know her well in life or not. In fact, the human who has passed on might become a spirit guide for you. If you're a dancer, you could have a spirit guide on your team who is once a dancer and not even related to you, that just wants to help you on your performing pathway and inspire you as an artist. I have on occasion have had my grandfather and my great-grandfather with me, giving me advice.
Cool.
Yeah. Mom's always around the house. The only advice she's given me is slow down. You're driving too fast.
Yeah.
Do you want to go over your own experiences with a departed loved one as a spirit guide?
I can, yeah.
It seems like Grandma's with you a lot,
Well, yeah,
and Pearl's with you a lot. Your mother-in-law.
right, right. They're with me a lot. There are times whenever I was concerned about things happening, with Katrina and stuff like that. You always, as a parent, worry about your child. And whenever that would overwhelm me at times, I would always start smelling the cigarette smoke that my mother-in-law would smoke when she was alive and know that she was there offering me comfort and letting me know it's okay. She's fine. You're going to make it through this. Just got to get her to adulthood, but it's fine. She's fine. There was just a comfort that she was there. Same thing with Grandma. She shows up a lot to help encourage, or I feel encouragement from her, or support, or approval even. I've
Yeah,
had a bunch of approval visits from Grandma to let me know things are good.
very
I don't
good.
want to share the other one though, because that's going to be the dream episode that we have. So,
Okay,
okay.
understand.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand that once you transition, you could be in many places at one time.
Hmm. Right.
So someone who has transitioned can be multiple places. So even though you might feel one's with you all the time, you could have somebody else in the family that feels the same way because that's
Right.
happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just wanted to say that spirit guides that are connected to us, they could be connected to us through our genetics or even our spiritual lineage. So it's not just your departed loved ones, it's the other ancestors as well in your previous lives as well
Yes.
that can be there to help you and support you through healing wounds, getting you through trauma of things that have been passed down from generations as well.
I agree.
The next category or the next type is helper angels. Now, these are what you call freelance angels, so to speak, who are just looking for a human to help with specific situation, like finding new friends or finding a new office space, even finding that parking spot that Julie always prays to an angel for. That's what these helper angels are. That's what they do.
Yes.
So, in my research, I found even additional beings that are or can be and are your spirit guides as well. One are the star beings. Now, they represent beings from other star systems such as Pleiades and Arcturians and Andromedans, Saurians, and from the Orion star system, and many others. They offer guidance and support to those who seek to connect with their extraterrestrial origins. Now, I know some of you are out there saying, yeah, right, but they are there to help us. Like I had mentioned in another episode, we are on different dimensions. We have different dimensions.
And you don't have to believe in them to call on them.
Right, exactly. So, star beings can help us connect with our soul's galactic origins and to help integrate cosmic energies into our lives. They help us as humanity and individuals to evolve and grow as souls and progress on the ascension path. Now, working with star beings or as guides can be especially helpful for star seeds and those who feel a strong connection between the stars and planets. Now, star seeds or indigo children are people who have lived previously, usually as extraterrestrials. They carry inner wisdom and they may possess unique and special abilities that can remain dormant until an appointed time. They really are conduits between other realms and the earth. Their actual otherworld spiritual aura that they're being actually inhibits their human form. So they come into the human form and they live as a human to help us. They are responsible for world change and such that we all need to progress on. So what do you think of that one?
Well, I've researched indigo children and that on my own as I was doing my spiritual growth, and they seem to have knowledge that they shouldn't have at their age.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense that, because they always seem an old soul
Right.
in a young body,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so yeah, I mean,
exactly.
and there's so much on this in this universe that we don't know,
Right.
so I'm not going to say, Kim, that's silly, because we don't know. I mean, how many times have people spotted UFOs?
Right. Exactly.
So I mean, we even have a department in the government now that's studying UFOs. It's a thing,
Right.
so I don't see why, spiritually speaking, any being of love and light, why it wouldn't want to come and help you, whether it's from this planet or not. Now, it may not show itself as ET, so it's going to be looking, it comes back incarnate as a human,
Right.
but yeah, I don't see why not.
Because that's what we are used to seeing are the
Yes,
human forms.
yes,
So they come to
and
what
and we can be very close-minded as humans. We
very close-minded as
we
humans.
yeah, we don't like things that are different, because
Mm-hmm.
change is scary. And if you say that there's an alien that's helping you or a spirit guide that's from another planet, people are going to go to the movie Alien right away, not to ET.
Yeah.
But so, as long as you're open to whatever guide can help you, then any guide's going to help you. And I just think, we shouldn't judge our spirit guides.
Well, and people don't need to know who your spirit guides are. That's just between you and your team. So
Exactly.
if you feel that's a guide that you need help from, no matter what anybody else believes,
Right.
ask for the help.
Go for it. And if you love Star Trek and grew up on Star Trek, this might be your team right here.
Exactly.
I grew up on Star Trek, loved it. Hokey, yes, loved it. But that's another podcast.
Another one.
What's your next one, Kim?
The next one I found are gods and goddesses. They are spiritual beings who, in certain cultures and spiritual traditions, are honored as being divine. They are vehicles for divine energy, and they often have vibrant stories and personalities and character traits that give a face to that divine life force. They have gone through a physical incarnation journey in another cycle, another life cycle, another time, and they now live in the spirit world and act as allies and often teacher guides for those still on the physical incarnation journeys. Sometimes you may be drawn to these guides from your own heritage, while other times a goddess you're connected with is because of a past or even a parallel life connection you have with this being. Some well-known ones are Hathor, Lakshmi, Odin, Freya, Yemenia, Ashun, Venus, Horus. These are all very familiar ones that we have from our ancient past.
Very interesting.
So then the next set, I kind of got a little excited about this one for some reason, so I apologize that this one might be a little bit longer, but here we go. It's the elemental spirit
Let her
guides.
rip.
Yeah, those elemental spirit guides. Elemental guides are spirits of nature that represent the four elements of earth, air, fire, and water. Each element has its own energy and symbolisms, as we've been talking about, and working with the elemental guides can help you better connect with the natural world and its various cycles. So, a water guide may help you connect with your emotions and intuition, while a fire guide may inspire creativity and passion. Not all elementals are benevolent allies for humans. Okay, so there's some out there that aren't playing nice with humans. Gnomes are connected to the earth element. Undines are connected to water. Sylphs are connected to air. And Pyrostas, sometimes called salamanders, are connected to the warmth of the ether and to fire. People closely connected to nature may in turn sense a connection with these elemental beings who inhabit places such as trees, mountains, lakes, streams, and even lava fields. They all can help us to unlock deeper layers of wisdom held in the earth, and they can influence the tone of our consciousness. In Celtic spirituality, elementals occupy the realm of fairy, also sometimes called the Middle Kingdom. I don't know if you've heard of that before, but I have heard of the Middle Kingdom before. Besides the four elemental beings, there are many kinds of beings who dwell in the etheric and astral levels of the earth, and they sustain nature and humankind. Some of those are the flower fairies, tree elves, and nature sprites are some of those additional types of beings. Now, along with that, there are the detrimental elemental beings that I talked about earlier that were created from disharmonious thoughts and feelings and are often behind the catastrophes in nature.
Now, did you get goblins in your research?
I didn't see anything specific about goblins, but then again, I didn't dive too. You might consider this a deep dive into elementals, but I didn't dive deep into elementals. So
yeah, so I mean, like fairies, elves, gnomes, and goblins are earth spirits, and they're connected to flowers, plants, trees, and the earth. And I don't think a lot, as you grow up, you no longer believe in fairies, elves, gnomes, and goblins.
Well, because you're told they're not real.
Exactly. But they're, they're very helpful in grounding, helping you connect with nature and, and such. And I think in Australia, they have what's called a gum nut, and it's a wildflower baby.
Huh.
Yeah, I just thought
interesting.
Just threw it out there. But, like you said, elementals can be good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
The elemental that I've spoken about before that I literally ran into was not happy, was not friendly, was upset, and it was upset with what was happening to the earth, so you can, It wasn't like he was going to hurt me, but he didn't want to leave. So he had to leave.
Right. Well,
but an offering was made to him, planting a bush for him. He left me alone. He didn't leave the ex-husband alone, but he left me alone because I planted the bush. Like, get your own tree.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and he was upset with him because he built a house on land that maybe should not have had a house built on it. Because there's so many. I'm going on a tangent. I'm sorry. But there's so many areas of earth that are never meant to be built on.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we build on them, we are going to disrupt the elementals that are attached to that space.
Right.
Like build on top of a Native American burial site. You are going to have issues in that building.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because the elementals are not going to be happy.
Right.
And when you think about it, there's places where bodies had been buried that markers were never there, and it's not a mound, and you don't know how to identify that something had happened there. I mean, you think about battlefields, people buried on the spot, mass graves, and as they decompose, a lot of that stuff does just go away. You may not realize when you're building on a particular land, you may upset some elementals, and so you may need to ask the good elementals to come forward and help you too, to offer protection and healing.
Right. Makes sense. I did find something, I'm not sure where you were wanting to go next, but I had found in the research that the guides serve as different roles that they play for us. They serve as different roles. For instance, there's life guides, and they are like the managers of the spirit guide team of your team. This guide definitely is with you from birth to death and work to manage and coordinate all the other spirit guides, angels, and teacher guides that are assisting you at any given time. One of your life guides is always known as your guardian angel. However, you may have other guides help in that capacity as well. Have you heard of something like these, the different types of roles that the guides play in your life?
Well, yes. Yeah, they come and go. You know, your main guide stays with you always, but the other ones pop in when needed for specific situations and then go. I don't think that they're with you. You're not accumulating more and more and more. It's just when you no longer need that particular guide, I do believe it steps back.
Right, right. So I also found that there's what's called a gatekeeper guide, and these guard your personal soul records, the Akashic records. They connect you with the right memories at the right time to bring the healing and advancements, wisdom and knowledge of your soul's memories into your current experiences without overwhelming you with too much of any given time. So gatekeeper guides also work to allow or block entities as well as past loved ones to reach you, depending on what is for your highest and greatest good.
I have to stop you.
Yes.
Every time you say gatekeeper, you know where I go.
Where do you go?
Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Ghostbusters.
that's funny.
I keep getting it. I'm like, oh, I hope the gatekeepers don't look like that. But
So the next role that the spirit guides could play is the role of teacher guides. And they appear, as it says, to teach us and to guide us along our path. They will appear in different forms depending on your lessons and objectives. They provide guidance through dreams, as we've discussed, meditation, and by leaving clues and signs for you as long as you need them. And once they're done, then they move on. Another type is the timing guides. They oversee synchronicity in your life. They will help you to be in the right place at the right time, to meet key people in your path, and align with new opportunities on divine time. So when you're seeing those synchronicities, the role that spirit guide is performing that timing guide role.
yeah, I mean, it could be a simple situation where you're at work and I think I'm going to leave early. I just really need to leave early. And you leave early and you run into an old friend that you wouldn't have seen. And that interaction was needed.
Right.
That there was some information from there that either helped them or help you.
Right.
Or help both.
Or you lost your keys and you need to leave for work and you keep looking for them. It's like there's a reason why you're being delayed and you end up finding out there ended up being an accident that you avoided being involved in.
And sometimes you don't know what you missed.
Exactly. Yeah, true.
It's like, what did I miss? And it could have been it could have been keeping you from running into an ex-spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
Right.
Or a friend that you've been avoiding because their energy is not intermingling with yours and you're just trying to get yourself together.
Mm-hmm.
Or as someone who's angry. You
Yeah.
could have just missed a whole bunch of different things that you really don't know. You just kind of roll with it. Like,
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Okay.
So the next part that they could play is the karmic guides. Now they help you to navigate personal and collective karma so that you can resolve it, that you can step off that karmic wheel and experience new levels of love and blessings. I like it when they play that role. So I can get off that karmic wheel.
You don't really think about asking an angel to help you with the karmic wheel. Let's clear up some past life karma.
I think that's where a lot of the karma comes from, or the karma trauma comes from, is past life that you haven't dealt with yet.
Yes. And so it's always good to know that if things aren't working out repeatedly, then you need to stop and ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Why? If I'm wanting to do this and nothing is falling into place, even though that's what you think you want to do, that's not what you want to do.
Right.
It could be because you're going to start repeating something that's karmatic from a previous life.
Right. Now, another one is the creative guides. They are just about what they sound like. They help to inspire creative visions. They help you to reconnect with your creative talents of your soul from the physical realm. They're there to help inspire you, encourage you, and guide you towards your creativity and your talents. I like those.
I have one of those.
Yes, you do.
I have one of those.
Oh my gosh, you do.
Yes, I'll wake up and I'll be like, okay, I got to do this. This is it. Or why am I researching this now? This is something totally different from what I usually do. And then get ideas. And then sometimes it just won't stop until, because it's like, okay, obviously I need to act on this. All right. But my protective necklace, that came through that particular guide.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Which stones, how to make it.
Right, right. I think I had an experience with the creative guide because I crochet, and I normally just crochet certain things, but I was moved to make a blanket with this child's name crocheted on it. Come to find out, that baby, when she was born, she ended up developing a brain tumor, and they had to go in and remove a good portion of one lobe of her brain to get that tumor out, and that was her protection. She ended up using that blanket as her comfort, and when the nurses or the staff or the doctors come in, she would use it as to hide under. They made it fun and funny that she was hiding from them, but that I was told to make that for her, and I made it for her, not knowing that was her protection blanket. So I thought it was really neat. So I did get a creativity guide. That's how they can also help you.
You probably get more than you realize.
Yeah.
You probably get more than you realize.
Probably.
Yeah.
But that one was very specific because the mom reached out to me and sent me pictures and thanked me so much for making that for her, because it was what she used to get through all of the different surgeries that she's had to have as a baby.
Nice.
The next one is protection guides. They could also be thought of as bodyguard guides. They protect you both mentally, spiritually, and physically according to what you allow and intend. This is a guide who is with you from birth to death, as they all are, and who is highly enlightened. In addition to protection, they oversee the spiritual guidance you connect with and help you to avoid temptations and distractions so you can stay on your enlightened journey with your soul's purpose and the intentions that you've set for your soul.
I wonder, Kim, because I do this process a lot, and I'm sure you do as well, is periodically I will, in my meditation, ask Spirit to remove gently from my life any person or emotion and feeling that are not serving my higher self or getting in my way. And so I wonder if this is the guide that's taking care of business.
I think so. I think
just,
they also try to keep out the negative entities or the negative emotions, the negative feelings, the negative lower vibration things out of your area to protect you.
And do you think that they push people out of your lives just as you suddenly are going through a divorce? Well, that guide stepped in because they were seeing where something was heading that you couldn't see, and then pushes that person until they want to leave. Or do you think that the two spirit guides, theirs and yours, talk to each other, sort it out, and then they both push? Or, I mean, because that's a rabbit hole right there.
That is a rabbit hole, but if that person has served their purpose in your life lessons, I believe that protection guide can be pushing them out of your way. Does that make sense?
I like this guy. I like this guide.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's good spiritual practice to ask for that to be done periodically. Because as empaths and psychics, we collect people, not that we're out there doing it, but they're drawn to you. They're drawn to your energy. They're not of your energy, but so we draw people to us that are vibrating the same as us. We draw people to us that are vibrating higher than us. But when you draw people to you that their vibration is much lower, that's not healthy for you because it's exhausting. And you may not realize that's why you're totally exhausted mentally, physically, and spiritually, because you're constantly working to raise your vibration where it needs to be.
Right.
And, so I think it's a good psychic practice to release that. And I know a lot of people don't like to lose people in their lives, but if that person isn't helping you on your path, then you have to accept that.
Right.
It's for the best. And I think you should periodically, I'm not saying every 5 years or every year or once a month, just whenever you feel the need for it. And if you haven't done it, do it. They just have them remove people from your life gently.
Stress gently.
Yes, because I didn't once, and it happened fast, and it hurt. Like, oh, I'm breaking up with you. What? Huh? What happened here? And a couple days later, the phone call. I don't know why I did that. I didn't mean to break up with you. Can we get back together? Nope. Because I know why you did. It was like, oh, okay. Note to self: insert gently.
Yeah.
Sometimes the message we get like that, someone breaking up with you, and then you're like chasing after them because you feel like, that's my twin flame and blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe it's not your twin flame, or maybe it's not the right time, or maybe you just don't know what's good for you.
Right.
I'm in that category. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to communicate with your guides, and very important to release things that don't serve you from an empath standpoint, from a psychic standpoint, from your spiritual growth standpoint. It's a healthy thing to do.
Right.
And you have to be accepting to the outcome, and accept the outcome once you've done it.
Very good advice there. So the next role they can play is an astral guide. It's exactly as it sounds. Astral guides guide your experience in the astral realm. When you're asleep or consciously journeying into the astral plane during meditation, this guide is with you, offering their protection and guidance. Keep you safe out there.
Have you ever done astral travel meditation?
No, but I think I've astral traveled in dreams. So a lot of mine happens in the dream world. So
yes, I've done astral traveling in my dreams. I was just curious because, there are meditations that help you, that are guided, that help you to access your own personal records, the Akashic records. And there's actually a guided meditation that the more you do it, the more you can, you go farther each time you do it in the meditation. It kind of helps. But you do have a guide guiding you through the process. Right. And that would be this particular spirit guide.
Yes, exactly. Now the next one is a joy guide. The joy guide. That's what role they can play. Is they're playful and beaming with childlike delight. They are with you to help you lighten up and just enjoy. Since laughter is key to making the link between you and your joy guide. So they're there just to make you happy.
So if you're going through a rough time, you want to call on your joy guide to step forward.
Yeah, exactly.
I think mine steps forward an awful lot.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So then there's helper guides. They come and go depending on your current projects, interests, or points of focus. They will assist you as long as you need them, and then move on, allowing you to move forward, following the callings of your heart. Helper guides, they can take the form of healers, and they can show you the way, and they can also act as a spirit guide who helps you get in sync with what is truly meant for you and to let go of what is not.
Very good.
Okay, and the final role play that they play.
I don't know if I'd call it role play. I don't know if I'd call it that. Just saying.
The final role that they can play as your spirit
Very
guide
good.
team are
much better.
Thank you. Are the ascension guides. And they are those on your spirit team who are solely focused on supporting you on your ascension journey. They may be around all the time, but also they may step forward to play more of a role as a primary guide as you commit to your own ascension path and journey.
Okay. Now, how to communicate with your spirit guides, I think it's very important. And in this day and age, we're rushing around. We've got our watches telling us what email or text messages are coming in. We've got our iPads, our computers, our cell phones. All this data, information coming in. We talk to people to and from going places on the phone. I'm very guilty of that. I'm like Kim Stalker. It's me again. With randomly funny, sometimes weird situations that just happen, kind of stories for her, like the heck. Yeah. But in those instances, it's harder for my spirit guides to talk to me in those situations because you have to be present in everyday life. Mm-hmm. You need to recognize the messages. Yesterday, I went to pick up my phone to text both sisters, and my phone said the time was 3:33. So I had to acknowledge that with them. This is what happened, and blah, blah, blah. And then an hour later, or a little over an hour later, I get a text message from Kim saying, I'll up your 333 with a 444,
Yeah.
So these are, we joke about it a lot, but these are synchronicities where spirit guides are talking to us.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not recognizing the message that's been sent, I mean, they'll try several times to get it through because our minds are busy, we have busy lives, and it's really important to have those mindful moments, and that's important why meditation is such a key factor to your psychic ability. It's easier to get information that way, or automatic writing, or a lot of people can't meditate, they fall asleep, so they have to do different forms of meditation. Just being mindful, and you'll get hits and ideas. And sometimes you're just not hearing it, that they'll communicate in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're just not getting whatever it is they're trying to tell you.
Right. Sometimes you just need to just try to free up some time on your schedule, or slow down, take a few things off your plate so that you can actually be able to pay attention to what is going on, and being able to meditate or be mindful of things so that those messages become clearer.
Yes. And if you're looking for signs, now you're being more mindful, so you're noticing signs, but are you looking for signs in everyday life from your guides? I mean, the other day I came home and there was a dove's feather stuck in the ground, standing straight up.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bird didn't do that. It's like I had to take a picture, and I have the feather because that was a gift. But
Mm-hmm.
then it was a dove's feather. So then there was the research on, okay, had to go down that path. What does a gray feather mean? What's the spirit meaning of that? What's spirit guide trying to tell me with that? What does a dove feather mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where does that tie in? And I know, because we're on the top of a ridge, someone wasn't running around randomly stabbing feathers into the ground, So that was a definite sign. I could have walked right on past it and not noticed it, but I was drawn to it. I just turned to look, and where'd that come from? And then accepted that this was a sign. And I thanked my spirit guides for the sign, and then went to research it, and it made sense.
Right.
I think you have to be very open to looking for these signs after you start to
Right.
slow down.
Right.
It's like when we start seeing ghosts, and once you start acknowledging ghosts, you get more ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
So same thing here. You start acknowledging the signs, and that is a sign. You research the sign. What is the message? You're going to get more.
Right. And it's especially if you have major things going on in your life, major decisions, or you're going through big changes or challenging situations, and you've asked for help or assistance, or, oh my gosh, am I ever going to make it through this? You need to be looking for those signs and be able to recognize them. So it's important to pay attention, you know.
What's funny is, and I know I've shared this story before on a podcast towards the beginning of this journey, where I had asked a particular spirit guide to just show me you were there by bringing me a large feather. Because, small feathers are kind of easy to find, but a large feather is not.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave a time frame, which I don't always agree in doing that. I just kind of I would like to have it this week sometime, because I may not remember next week that I asked you for this.
Yeah.
And the days went by, and I did not see a large feather. I'm like, well, okay, this is really weird, because I was very confident I was going to see a feather. And my father and I traveled we were going to a different location. We were just going to do an overnight trip. And we go into a Captain D's, of all places, and I'm sitting there, and I look up, and there's a wall of large feather wallpaper in a seafood store. Why is there feathers on the wall in a seafood fast food restaurant? They were orange, and it was a whole wall of them. And it was like, well, okay, there we go. I got my large feathers.
You got it. Exactly.
I got it. Yeah. Let's see, just for asking for help. I didn't ask for help. I asked for, show me you're here, this particular, guide. And that was it. It was like, On Spirit's time, me seeing a wall full of large feathers that were orange went a long way, other than me finding one big feather out in the grass.
Yeah.
Because left brain would have been like, well, maybe a bird flew by and dropped this feather. And then I need another sign.
Yeah.
But if you're not open to looking at the signs, they're not going to give you another sign. You know, it's like, we already told you once. Now, come on.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so another thing that you can do is to start a spirit guide journal. Not surprising. We are suggesting to have a journal.
Journaling.
Yeah. But this one is solely to increase your communication between you and your guides. Write down what you are wanting and ask them for assistance in this specific thing, or have them respond in a specific way, as what you were just saying. Now, you can also write down any important signs that they do send. So don't forget to watch out for those synchronicities, because those are very important.
Yeah, and it may not make sense right away.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And you may see a
This is
pattern.
a message I got. Yeah. Like 333s, we see those all. I see those all the time, and then 555 started showing up. Like, oh, okay, well, now what? You know, now I gotta go look at that again.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're writing it down, you're going to see a pattern.
Right.
Now, you know, you could. I mean, some recommend that you give your guides names. Some people meditate and want the spirit guide to give them their name. You know, so I've heard different things on this practice. Like a friend of mine who does psychic readings, and the psychic who does my readings is she asked her spirit guide for a name for over 6 months before she finally got a name.
Interesting.
And then I've heard other people say that just name your spirit guide. You know, it's like for some reason this is your favorite name. You don't know anybody by this name, but you've always loved this name. Use that name. I don't name my spirit guides. I figured if it was important to them, they'd give me their name.
True. Right.
And I know when grandpa and great grandpa show up, because so they have a name,
Mm-hmm.
you know, great grandpa and grandpa. But my other spirit guides, I haven't. I mean, I've not named them. Have you named yours, or have you got names for yours?
No, not at all.
But you know, if you feel more confident giving something a name, you know, giving a guide a name, like Julie calls her parking space guide. That's their name.
Right.
Or his parking space angel. So, you know, if you feel, and some people need titles and like titles, and or if you're feeling drawn to name the guide,
Mm-hmm.
if you're feeling drawn to do it, then do it. You know, if that's going to help you get to know your guide better by having a name for them, then do that.
Right.
I just figure when I'm asking for guidance from my spirit guides, the appropriate spirit guide is going to step forward and say, I got this, or she finally asked for help. I think that's probably more what they said. About time. You want to be motivated when you're having this conversation with your spirit guides. And I have a playful guide. Julie has a sarcastic guide. Kim's guides communicate when she sleeps because she doesn't want to talk to them during the day. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong.
Yeah. So there's different ways. There's no right or wrong way that you communicate with them. When you're going through stressful periods, the playful guide shows up for me, kind of with the whole lighten up attitude.
Right. Yeah.
And funny things happen, and you're like, I don't know how many times I'll call Kim with, you're not gonna believe what I just saw, and then it's funny, it's freaking hilarious.
Yes.
But you know, so that's where the playful guide showed up with something funny for me to see or to hear or to witness. And that usually is like, okay, I got it. I'm being too serious.
Yeah. Well, it's good to get to know the guides, you know, so you know once you
Yes.
get that playful feeling coming over you, you know that guide's there to help you, that it's that playful one back. Or, you know, if you feel empowered, then it's a different guide. This other guide that always helps you to feel that way is near you.
Yes. And sometimes I think when I'm being, they call it at work, quick-witted, I think that's the playful guide coming through trying to lighten up a situation that is stressful at the moment.
Yeah. Most
Because
likely.
some of the stuff I come up with is like, where did that come from? It's like, everybody's laughing. I guess it was okay. You know?
Yep. Yeah, that guide's been with you a long, long time.
A long time. And that's a good thing.
Yep.
I think you also need to learn, like with any practice you do, surrendering to your guides. And I know some people hear the word surrender and then automatically it's like a trigger and it becomes a defensive situation.
Mm-hmm.
But when you surrender control of an issue, and as humans, we like to surrender it and then grab it back. Surrender and grab it back. Because we don't think the resolution isn't happening in 5 minutes like you want it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not doing anything, I'm going to take it back. And I think that happens a lot. So when you are going through a situation, you have to surrender it. For me, that works best for surrendering is I put it in my manifest journal because that's helping me to surrender it. You don't have to make the formal, I surrender this. It's just I put the outcome I would like it to be, and in doing so, I'm surrendering it to the universe. What's going to happen is what's going to happen. But if I don't surrender it, how can I learn anything, or how can I move on? If I'm not willing to release the issue to my guides, they can't do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just prolonging the outcome because I'm not listening and I'm not releasing. And I am very guilty of that.
Yeah, but I think that you can surrender it for just a little bit, just to give yourself a break from thinking on it. And when you do that, then that might give them a chance to work on it and tweak it. And when you take it back, you're able to see through the situation better.
Yes. And I think we get so caught up in our mental conversations and the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it's something that comes out of left field that you were not expecting.
Yeah.
And that's a great time to use mindfulness, meditate, or pray, whatever your thing is, and let it go and release it.
Right.
Also, I think that researching information on your own on how to communicate with spirit guides will help you on your path, because it helps you find what resonates with you, where you're at this particular time on your spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
Because, when we started the journey, I'm sure Kim, you'll agree with this, we weren't comfortable with some of the things that we now do.
Yeah.
Because we were operating out of not releasing things, not growing spiritually. We're just starting out and everything's scary. We were in the closet still. There's the fear factor. You have all these different things. But where we're at today is not where we were at last year.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
Or even 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continual growth. So I really recommend that you want to learn more about spirit guides. You want to research all the different spirit guides that Kim and I have mentioned to see what works best for you for where you're at this point. And 6 months from now, you may have to go back and research it again because you're going to be in a different spot in your life.
Yeah, right.
So you do need to have some responsibility in learning about your spirit guides and doing that kind of work. And when you do the work, you're going to get those hits. You're going to get the synchronicities. You're going to get things falling into place for your particular path, because my path, your path, is not the same path. Just like we talked about with the three sisters here, we each do something different. We each have something different on our path because it's our path. We can't have identical paths.
Right.
It's just not possible.
That'd be so boring.
Yeah. Yes. It would not be entertaining at all.
Right.
So, and also you need to start working on improving your intuition, because that is the way that spirit guides will communicate with you. I had a situation the other day, which I think I shared on the podcast previously, I'm not sure, where my phone went off at 1:45 in the morning with a text message from someone from the West Coast, and I'm on the East Coast, so they didn't realize it was 1:45 in the morning. So I get up, get a drink of water, whatnot, come back, and then I hear, Carrie. And it wasn't a scary Carrie. It wasn't someone in need. It was just Carrie to get my attention. And I thought it was my father. So I'm like, all right, I'm coming right up. And I go upstairs and he's sound asleep. Okay, it wasn't him. So I was getting, the text message came to wake me up for spirit to get my attention. And of course they got my attention. I had to try to wake up and think about this, what's going on, and process it, and then go back to sleep. But they were definitely trying to get my attention for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
So you will, when you're improving your intuition, you're going to hear voices, could be in your mind, or like, I heard it with my ears. It was not in my mind, and it's just the two of us in one house. There was no other person, and it was a male voice.
Mm-hmm.
And my guides normally communicate with me as a male voice.
Right.
That was one way of like a clairaudience, when we reference our clairs, that I was using my intuition to be, or spirit was using my intuition to communicate with me on that point. Or if you're clairvoyant, you might see images in your mind. You're having mental downloads for your claircognizance, and then you get a breakthrough, or you feel energy and emotions and sensations, whether you're clairsentient. So these are all the different ways your intuition is working with your psychic abilities, with communicating with your spirit guides.
Right.
Now, if you like to practice, you can, in your mind, ask your spirit team to play a little game with you on practicing your intuition, and ask for a number between 1 and 10. And then see what number you hear in your mind, or see a number that shows up or in your mind's eye, or if you're drawn to a certain number, and see what you get.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah. And a lot of times when I'm asking a question, I've mentioned it before, I get the answer before I finish the question. And I think that just shows that they've been waiting for me to ask the question. Yes, she's asking it. Yes, the answer is this. And I'm still asking the question because they know what the question is. Because they know everything that goes on. Don't be surprised if you start to say, give me a number between 1 through 10, and you heard 5 before you even said 1 through 10.
Yep.
So don't doubt that.
Yep, don't doubt it. That first thing in your head's usually a message.
Yes. Do you have anything else?
No, not as far as that one, no.
About anything?
One thing that you haven't touched upon was use divination tools. They've been around for a long time, and using oracle cards, tarot cards, runes, pendulums. These are all ways that you could ask your spirit guides for help or to assist you into giving you a little bit of answers and such. Wait for messages to come through.
Exactly. Me and my dowsing tools. What happens if you feel disconnected from your spirit guides? If you're feeling disconnected from spirit, which can happen. We all get sidetracked with life and get out of our practices.
Mm-hmm.
I had company that came and stayed for a week, and I got out of my yoga practice.
Right.
My daily yoga, because I wasn't going to do yoga with guests in the house. That's just me. I didn't think that might have been entertaining for them to watch, but it would have been entertaining for me to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get out of habits of doing things. But even though you don't feel that you feel disconnected from your guide, that they're still working on your behalf, and they're behind the scenes doing things, trying to put you on the path that you need to be. I think that if you're feeling disconnected, you need to do some sort of whatever is uplifting to you, whether it's reading a book on spirituality, or it's if you get a kick out of researching like Kim does, then maybe you need to just research a spiritual topic, and whatever topic is popping into your head, and just spend 20, 30 minutes doing things like that. And I think you will feel your guides much better and kind of reconnect.
Yeah. I know that works. I've done the research part of it. I've gotten really excited with research, feeling I've connected because I've taken time off of what is due to go research something that's not due. And it kind of gets me back into
But it's something,
gets me excited.
It's getting you back on the path.
Right.
Yep. So I think the key thing here is like, again, what we said in the Angels series, ask for help. Ask for things that are negative to be removed from your life. Yes, it's going to hurt a little bit sometimes, but sometimes that's where growth comes from. And sometimes you're getting removed from a situation that may be starting to get bad and you don't realize it. Or it's keeping you from moving to where you need to be on your spiritual path, which is much more important. You've always heard the thing, people fall away, the people come and go out of your life. But as you grow with each change, you become a better person, hopefully. And you've grown and you've learned from those experiences. But if you're holding on to everything, you can't learn and grow. So you do need to make a practice of releasing, especially as an empath. You need to release what doesn't belong to you. What feelings, thoughts, emotions that are not yours, you need to release. And what spirit what thoughts and emotions that are yours that don't serve you need to be released. And so it's all part of a really good practice, a psychic practice. And it will help you as you're releasing, you're asking your guides to help you with this. And it's causing a better bond with you and your guides.
Right. Exactly.
Is there anything else you want to add, Kim?
No, I think that covers everything as far as the spirit guides. It was very
Well,
interesting.
this was a very fun, it was a fun topic, but I think I'm going to enjoy our next topic better.
Yeah.
Spirit animals.
Spirit animals.
Yes, we have been talking about spirit animals for decades, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Going in. We shared a few of the stories on this episode, but we got a lot more information that's going to pop up in our next episode. And I know we said we were going to stop saying what those episodes were because spirit kept changing, but I feel very confident that this is going to be it, that's what we're supposed to do next.
Yeah, I agree. Because then the next episode after that, I believe, is our Halloween episode.
And Kim's so excited.
I'd really like some stories to be sent in that you may have. We'll keep your name anonymous if you want, but really like some spooky stories, ghost stories, ancient legends, or local legends that you may have that's good and spooky for Halloween, so we can read some stories for that episode. It should be really fun.
It should be fun. It's always fun to do something a little different. And we were like, oh my gosh, Halloween's coming up. We got to do something. So... yeah, but we've got a lot of fun episodes planned, fun topics after that as well. But if you do have any suggestions or thoughts for an upcoming episode, we've had listeners reach out to us. We have incorporated them into our lineup and have moved things around for that. So just reach out to us and let us know. Of course, if you could make sure you like our podcast and follow our podcast on whatever podcast venue you listen to, we would greatly appreciate that. And of course, visit us on our Facebook page at Psychic Bent Podcast. Like our page and follow along as well. And Kim, we want to give the email address because you're the queen of the email here. I don't do the email.
The email is psychicbent1@gmail.com.
And of course, you also can reach out to us on Messenger on Facebook as well under Psychic Bent Podcast.
Right.
Well, thank everybody for listening, and I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to Psychic Bent. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.